Yeah, yeah. Just
if you
I,
can
I love
afford
that
it.
Yeah, I love that American phrase. You put in anything with a pulse.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
tough race, and I mean, it can't all be easy. Otherwise, we'd
yeah,
be
yeah.
millionaires. Come to the Coastal Boys, plural. Hello, Mark and Evita, a new addition to the show, and slight technical difficulties. Seeing as the man is far away, we're struggling to get the sign behind him, but that will improve, and let it not deter from the winners.
Andrew, it's great to be working with you again. We go back a long way. But I remember some jawling days there in PE with Paul Lafferty when you were working for Walter Wigan. Is that? I mean, that's like ancient history.
That's that's a lifetime ago. A lifetime ago. It's
We've
crazy how
fitted
time
in,
flies.
yeah, and lots of adventures since then. But it's great to be reunited, and we'll give it a good crack here on the pod.
Yeah, it's nice. I've been watching Port Elizabeth Racing, where we initially started. Both the arrows have gone in. They weren't very big prices, but they've won with both with consumatees. And as I said on my podcast yesterday, that they are both very, very good horses. And but let's not reflect. Let's go forward and find some winners for the crew. We race at Durbanville. The switch, of course, was supposed to be Kenilworth, but due to the gods blessing us with lots of rain for the farmers and for the dams, we have switched to Durbanville racetrack, which seems to have handled the rain much better. We have an eight race card for those that don't follow too much racing and just listen to the podcasts. It's round the bend. All the races are round the bend. Better to be drawn low numbers than big numbers, but I probably will reflect on that once we go through the races. We kick off in the first race, where we should always begin. It is Hollywood's Durbanville Welcomes You Maiden Juvenile Plate for 2-year-olds over the 1,000 meters. The betting is as such: My Bonnie Boy 8 to 10, Landman, great TV show, 18 to 10, 8 to 1 Lana's Girl, 10 to 1 Fun Run, 14 to 1 a better, right your own ticket, the rest. This race seems to hinge on the runners, the horses that have run. Of that, the horses that have run is My Bonnie Boy, improved run since being gelding, ran a length and a half behind One Magic. If he reproduces his form, I think he will take a power of beating. There looks to be only one first-timer fancied, Landman, number 4, son of United States, Richard Ferrier on board. Justin gives a positive mention, if not to Green, expecting to run a big race. Of the other first-timers, it doesn't seem too many positive comments. Lana's Girl, stable companion, the fortune factor. She ran 10 lengths behind on debut. She'll have to improve lots. And the other one for the trifectas and quartets is Fun Run. 2 starts, improved from her first start, but it is a filly taking on the boys, and I think she'll be back in of contests at best. That's how I see the race, and I don't think it's a very deep race to begin the meeting.
Yeah, yeah, Andrew. It's tricky with all those firsters, and we'll have to, I suppose, watch carefully to see how the track is playing. You gave a very good description of the course profile at Durbanville. It generally suits horses that are drawn low and use stalk and pounce tactics. They don't necessarily need to tear off to the front, but it does help to be at least handy and then make an early move. So that's usually the correct running style that's suited at Durbanville.
It's like the days when we used to jaw. I was always first in. I think you were like the stalk and pounce. Just wait, have a few drinks, get that Dutch courage, and in you went.
Fun Deventer.
We're moving on to race 2. First race, you can get your exotics on. I think it's the first league of the bipod. Just remember, only the horses that have run. You just have to have one of the horses that have run in the first 2. So I think you could probably bank all the 2 horses there. Just remember, Interbet, a one-stop shop. You can get sports bets, horse racing bets, tote bets, the whole bang shoot. But we move on to race number 2. Hot Fruit Stakes over 1,000 meters. Galactus 22 to 10, 3 to 1 Heritage Ridge, 7 to 2 Major Apollo, 4 to 1 Barney McGrew, 5 to 1 Hale, Watha Goldberg, 2 non-runners, Fort Red, number 5, and number 3, African Memoir.
Yeah, yeah. Second race, it's a D stakes. Look, the average merit rating is a humble 64. So these are battlers. On my speed figures, most of them get in the mid-80s, which is a low-level grade. Quite competitive. Hiawatha Goldberg, a wonderful name that. I think you've got to respect, particularly because of the jockey rider at the jockey trainer combination. Richard Fourie and Rob Barrett, they already forged a potent combination, so that one must definitely go in. Barney McGrew, I don't know if you've seen closely his action. He's got this absolutely outrageous twisting, dishing action. It's a miracle that he can make it around the bend. But he really is a credit to Andre Steyn, who's done really well with this rather fickle veteran. Major Polo is a pacey horse, so I think he can go well at this course. Heritage Ridge, look, 1 win from 22 starts. So he's a chronic long-term loser. But he's got figures in the low 80s, which are good enough to compete at this level. It's not a particularly inspiring race. I think if you used some or most of those that I've mentioned, you should be cool in the exotics, but I don't see any persuasive betting opportunities in the set.
Sort a bit differently. I've made this one of my arrows. Number 8, Heritage Ridge, this 4-year-old filly by Karari. Garth Wright gets the ride for the Ricks Yard. I always get mixed up and I get them basted. It's Gareth Wright or Garth Wright, so I'm just going to call him Mr. Wright. Excuse me for getting it wrong. Once I see Galactus favourite, I think, this is a race where there's got to be value elsewhere. I'm not a fan of Galactus. Galactus, fortune factor, named by an African memoir last start, but Heritage Ridge holds a lot of these horses on their last run behind African memoir. She hasn't won at the track, and she was drawn 8 out of 8, but now with the 2 scratchies, she's drawn 6 out of 6. It's not such a bad draw. She does race handy. She's 50% placed over course and distance. She's had a win over the distance and 8 places. So she's not a no-hoper. Of the others, Galactus I wasn't sold on, even though the fortune factor on board. Of the others, I thought the Robbie Barrett horse, Hiawatha Goldberg, with Richard Fourie on board, was very interesting. A horse that could come forward, even though she's had 2 starts at the track. He's had 2 starts at the track. No places over the distance, either over the 1,000 meters, which is a slight worry. And will have to come forward, but he has turned a few horses around since he's had them, and I think he's a fairly decent trainer. I thought the one that would be there and thereabouts as well would be number 1, Gravity. A course and distance win, but a Pip Wood stable that's out of 4. Has Stallgate number 1, which might not even be a positive for this horse because he comes from behind. And they can chop you off. 1 or 2 of them will be bustling to get to the front, and they can chop you off and you can be in trouble early doors and be too far back. But as I said, my nap on the day, my Andrews arrow on the day is number 8, Heritage Ridge from the Michelle Ricks Yard with Mr. Wright on board.
There you go. I'll be pulling for you, Andrew. That could be a good find.
Then we move on to race number 3. It is Centenary Syndicate, a Class 4. Just make note, the 1,200-meter races are now 1,250 meters. It's one of those little quirks of Durbanville Racecourse. They do not have a 1,200-meter start. Is it on the bend too soon, I think? That's probably why it's a 1,250. The betting is as such. 13 to 10 Cork Bay, the money horse in the race. 9 to 2 Kelp Forest and Lyrical Gangster. 5 to 1 Witch Hazel. 8 to 1 Volleygolf. 12s and better the rest. I saw the race as such. The favourite deserves to be favourite, but I don't think I would be rushing into the 13 to 10 Cork Bay. Big positive is that he likes an S or yielding in his name. His win and his second were on the soft going. He must get that again. And he beat Blind Date, who ran a decent enough race last week. Drawn 2, he led when he won, beating Blind Date. And if he puts that run forward, and he's had 2 runs at the track with a second and a third, so he does like the track. Then we have Lyrical Gangster, Richard Fourie on board for the Justin Snaith Yard. Comes from behind, 3 starts at the track for a win and a second, would have a squeak. Kelp Forest from the Inform Marcus Yard, champion jockey elect on board Craig Zaki. Blinkers on last time, ran behind Forstrome over 1,200, getting a bit long in the tooth for me. I think he'll be there and thereabouts, but not one that I would be having a crack at. I'm going to have an each way bet in this race. Number 7, Witch Hazel. King and Demilla rides. Even though he's carrying 61.5 as a 3-year-old, it's a bit heavy. It's his first time at the track. I think he's an improving son of a war. It's quite interesting. Every horse that's come from Mark Kahn, they generally run very, very decent races. He won on debut, an eye-catching debut, an eye-pleasing debut. He beat a horse called Madra Rua by 5 lengths that day. I think the run style will suit. I don't think the 12.50 is an issue. And I think he's a nice price each way at 5-6 to 1. And I think you'll be getting solid run for your money.
Yeah, Andrew, that's for sure. Lucinda Woodruff, with the help of quite a capable assistant trainer, Jeff Woodruff, has really made it a splash. You know, she's very, very competent, good trainer. They've built up the yard, and horses are improving for moving there. So there are solid grounds for supporting Witch Hazel. Romp to an easy win when moving down to the Cape. On my speed figures, though, will need to improve, but it's perfectly plausible that he will indeed be able to do it. The top two on the figures you mentioned, Cork Bay, who defeated Blind Date, who's gone in twice subsequently and has very strong credentials. I do agree with you. I'm not keen on piling in at those short prices, but I think that Cork Bay has got solid claims. Lyrical Gangster comes in off a career top speed figure in the mid-90s. That was a significantly improved performance. So if able to pair up two good efforts, then that I think is a strong candidate. Kelp Forest tends to mix his form a bit. He's not reliable, but he could get into the fray. And there's a horse that I enjoyed supporting through the summer called Yamazaki, who does actually have
Right.
back form. Yeah. He's got good back form at the course. Look, he's been off track for a while, and he does prefer further. So he's not really a punting proposition in this spot, but he's
He
plenty
has
good
two,
enough
sorry,
to.
Mark. He has 2 good runs in the soft. I mean, at
Yeah,
Durbanville, funny, at Kenilworth, in the heavy run behind Captain Alliance, a better man. So not
yeah,
one that you can overlook.
definitely. He has taken to the country course in the past, and he's plenty good enough to win a class 4. But if I had to pick them, I'd go Cork Bay over Lyrical Gangster and Witch Hazel, and then I'd probably use Yamazaki in the lower slots in tries and quartets, just in case he gets going late and hits the board.
Price would split the 8s beer. I mean, if you see
Yeah,
4 lengths
yeah,
behind, split the 8s.
yeah,
5 winners from that form line. And he did frank it, I mean, when he came to the track. I mean, so her father would be training the horses while she's in Durban, I should well imagine.
yes, that's right. So he is involved, and they're building up a nice team, very much a family operation. So I mean, there are generations of expertise that are brought to bear at Woodruff Racing, and they've built the stable up very nicely. And as I mentioned, Lucinda is very diligent and competent and hardworking. She's amongst the winners, taking care of things up in KZN at the moment, and the Cape operation is also ticking along nicely.
It's taken a bit of time, but I think she's finally hit her straps of late. She's had a
That's
bit of
for
a
sure.
purple patch.
Yeah.
We move on to race 4, which is Expert Eye standing at Paardeberg State Class 4 for fillies and mares over 12.50. The bidding 33-10 All is Green, 33-10 Girl Like Us, 4-1 Raffish Trend, 5-1 Music of the Night, 7-1 Lady Lookalike, 14-1 and Better the rest. You have a fancy? Away you go, sir.
Okay. Uh, Girl Like Us is the horse that I'm picking. Look, I hope that she goes a slightly bigger price than 3.5. It's a wide open race. I just think that she will run well. I've got a lot of respect for Paul Reeves's work with modestly bred stock, and he actually has an incredible strike rate when he engages senior jockeys, whether it's Craig Zaki or Keegan DeMello or Richard Ferree. He really gets the horses right. He puts them in the correct races, be it at a lower level. Girl Like Us has got a good record at the course. She handles a soft track. I think in this big field, if the expected strong pace materializes, then she'll be able to run at them. There is a bit of a caveat. Hold up sprinters need lots of luck. They need the gaps to open up at the right time. They need a bit of a pace meltdown. So I would say if you can get around 5-1 about, then an each way play could be the answer. I'm sure that she'll run well. She only just missed last time behind Music of the Night, who showed a sustained pace under the claim for happy. So that rate's a significant danger. Why is a declaration drawn one? Not for me on Saturday. Hasn't raced for a while and will probably need it. All is green. I
As
do
said by
respect
the
that.
trainer, sorry, Mark, the trainer did comment and said definitely will need the run.
Okay, cool.
In the
So
comments, she said that will definitely run, even though a solid form.
thanks, Andrew. Yeah, that would confirm things. All is green. I do respect because of the running style, a pacey sort, and I note some anti-post bedding support. A bigger danger that I think is Lady Lookalike, who's 1-5 from 29 and uses those stalk and pounce tactics we were referring to earlier, which is optimal for Durbanville. Bearish trend, got lots of speed, but I think we'll just need to boost its figures a bit. Gin Palace is not impossible on its best runs, so maybe one to throw into single race exotics, but once you start moving out into draw 10 over 12.50, you're under pressure. So for me, I think Girl Like Us, if she goes to the sort of price that I've mentioned, then she could rate a really nice each way touch. Will require luck as a swooping sprinter, but in other respects, things are teed up nicely for her. I'd be very interested to hear your take on this, Andrew.
Yeah, I concur with what you've said, but I think you might struggle to get that price because I think all
Mm.
is green is only that price because of the Andrew Fortune factor. I mean, did run a good run beyond Blue Lagoon or start. But if you look at her figure, she's at 3 times at the track for a third and a fourth. Over course and distance, she was unplaced. She got beaten. She got chopped that day, actually. She got beaten 5 lengths by Garden of Eden. She didn't even seem to get home that day. It is probably a bit of a jockey strike from Corner off to Andrew Fortune. I mean, he's had more winners since returning than Corner has. I do agree with you. Girl Like Us, she's got all the figures. 8 runs at the course and distance, 2 wins and 3 places. She throws in, I think she comes to life in the winter, as do a lot of Paul Reeves horses. He seems to, I think the stronger horses are probably up country for the feature races. And I think it gives the smaller trainer more opportunities. Even though they've left stables behind, I think the stronger horses are probably in Durban for the season, trying to get into the big races and earn the big state checks. I wasn't sold on Music of the Night, even though has won over course and distance. Sure about Mr. Muller. He rides some decent races and then he can chuck in some absolute rotten races. I'm going to have to give that a swerve. Wise Declaration, a decent sort, but by her notes, Candice's notes, that he does need a few runs. The two that I felt agree with you, Lady Lookalike. I mean, solid course and distance. My friend, Mr. Right on board, drawn 8 out of 8, drawn 8 out of 12. Slight little worry, but does come from slightly off them. And number 9, Raffish Trend, Craig Zaki on board, drawn 9, does lead. So I don't think it's going to be such a negative. Has a win and 3 places from all 4 starts at the track. I think for me, in a trappy race, I think be putting in the exotics 6, 8, and 9. And if I had to choose one to have a punt on, it would probably be Raffish Trend each way. But I think a trappy race, and I think yours is a solid selection, but I don't think we're going to get the price that we're expecting. I think it probably start favourite,
Yeah,
unless Fortune has found a few people.
yeah. And it may well turn out that way. Just as an aside, the Interbet exchange, very often close to the jump, that they'll be betting at 101, 102%. So, the odds can be favorable as the market forms. And it's worthwhile for the serious punters to check that out because we know how significant a value is, and you give yourself a sporting chance that way. When the over round is big, it's very hard really to bet into that. So there's a lot to be said for checking out the interbet exchange, particularly closer to the jump, when, as I say, that over round percentage comes down to pretty close to 100%.
People that don't understand percentages, over rounds, whatever, the closer it is to 100%, the more you're going to make, the more chance you have of winning. So if the percentage is 101, if you bet every single horse in the race to a level stake to get to the 101%, at worst, you'd only be losing R1 in your R100 spent. If it was 114, generally when they open up the markets 3-4 days before, it's between 114 to 122. That's for the bookmakers who are putting their necks out because they're putting the prices up for people to come and take the prices. And as Interbet is a very good indicator on occasions for horses that are very strong, the early money does come for them. And for those that are slightly weak in the market, who people believe are not the right price or they think something else is much stronger. It's a very good indicator and a tool that I do use every single day when going through the markets.
Andrew, yeah, thank you for that tutorial. I think that's an important, role that we can help punters. It's not just tipping. I've always taken the educational side quite seriously, because people who've been in the game forever, will know the nuances and details. But for people who are starting out in racing, it can be helpful just to be given some guidance so that they can boost their knowledge and then really enjoy participating in the brand game. So, I mean, it's something I hope that we can do on the podcast is not just give sharp tips, but also just every now and then provide some educational insights as well. So cool. Thanks for that.
Is it time to start pushing one of your books or not yet too early?
Let me find a few winners first and
Right.
boost credibility that way.
Moving on to race number 5. It is the Lucky Fish Mystic Fortune Class 5 over 1,400 meters. We have Super Viking 33 to 10, Thomas Jenkins 4 to 1, 4 to 1, 1 Magic, 5 to 1 Fort Yukon and Prince of Tibet, 6 to 1 Noonday Gun, 12 to 1 and Better the Rest. A trappy 1,400 meter race for me. I do find this quite a tough race. Thomas Jenkins, interesting to note, first runner for Ashley Fortune in the Cape. Andrew Fortune rides for his wife. Mr. Maingard may be throwing him a bone because he's done a lot of work for Ricky Maingard. He's got a tight connection with him. Only because it's Ashley Fortune and Andrew Fortune, they probably want to win with their first horse. Drawn one has got a chance, but he's quite short in the betting, to be truthful. I don't think I'd be rushing in at 4 to 1. Fort Yukon, solid form of late. JP van der Merwe on board. I'll give that one a bit of a swerve. Then we move on. I'm going to skip Give That Man a Bell. Says a lot of people, South Africans like to drink. Fortune one win from his 6 starts. Give that a bit of a swerve. Noonday Gun, decent win, beating Cedar Point. Then was a bit unlucky behind Senior Dante. Slow away that day. Craig Zaki on board, the blinkers on board. Then we have Super Viking. Please note the blinkers are now applied. Beat Charlie Bucket, then ran half a length to trip to Camelot, pipped on the post. I thought was home that day. Then we move on to Prince of Tibet. Sean Veal rides for Pitt Stain. 2 wins at the track. Didn't place over course and distance though. And 1 Magic. 1 run, 1 win. Richard Ferry on board over 1,000 meters. Stepping up in trip to 1,400. Is a juvenile. This horse could be anything, and you probably be able to tell me about the breeding more than I would. I mean, if Stage must have a squeak. I did think the favourite Super Viking was the correct favourite. And I think at 7 to 2, a fairly decent price. They've got the blinkers on. Just didn't get home with the 1,600 last time. I think a track that will suit Durbanville. This horse of Candice Bass, ridden by Aldo de Meyer, beat Charlie Bucket coming from just off the pace. I thought he was going to win last time, but he just got pripped. The gelding seems to have done the trick with this horse. He was consistent, but wasn't getting home. Before that, he only had 7 starts, a win and 4 places. Course and distance second, but that was a long time ago. Beat running second to Plural Instinct. My 2 against the field, I think Super Viking deserves to be favourite, and I think will run a big race. And I thought the other horse in the race for me would be Prince of Tibet. 14 starts at the track, 2 wins at 4 places. Sean Veal rides. He's come all the way from Natal to ride, has the blinkers, and ran 3 lengths behind Noonday Gun, running on very late. So one will be handy, one will be finishing. That's how I see the race. But a trappy race and not one that I'd be getting very much involved in.
Yeah, it is a tricky race. To me, it all revolves around one Magic, who was visually impressive on debut and also earned a nice speed figure. He looks like he could be very, very smart. Obviously, the traditionalists will say, 2-year-old in open company, he's going over a different trip, he's going over a different track. So there are queries. There's that old maxim that you never bet a short-priced horse trying something different. So there are a few knocks against his chances. However, I do think he's a smart horse and he's a must-use on all tickets. So Super Viking, just as Andrew has said, has got rock-solid credentials. He's been bumped up 2 points for that neat post-maiden trip to Camelot, which was a false-run race where they sort of quickened up and finished in a heap. But still, it was a solid effort. I think the blinkers strike is significant. Noonday Gun is respected. He's 2 from 4 for Craig Zaki. And again, just referring back to Paul Reeves booking senior jockeys, and Noonday Gun has got some solid back form at the track. Fort Yukon will be a pace factor from a low draw, and very interesting, Thomas Jenkins making a start for Ashley Fortune, who's returned from all sorts of adventures in Australia and is getting underway again as a trainer in Cape Town. Look, carry 63 dropping in grade. This is an awkward race, will form part of the picks and the jackpots. So you may want to cast a relatively wide net if you don't trust one Magic, or you're not completely sold on the horse that Andrew mentioned. So it's an awkward sort of race.
One of those where you don't put a number, you put an F.
Yeah. Just
if you can
I love
avoid it.
love that American phrase. You put in anything with a pulse.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a tough race, and I mean, the corner will be easy. Otherwise, we'd
Yeah,
be millionaires.
that's for sure.
To race number 6, we get to the classier races now, and it's quite strange to see these 2 feature races running at Durbanville. The Iridescent Stakes, it's a listed for 2-year-olds over 1,500 meters. 7 to 10 Grapes of Wrath was as big as even money, being backed in. 4 to 1 Enticement, 7 to 1 Black Nightshade, 8 to 1 She's a Ripper, 10s and better the rest. Away you go, Marcus.
Yeah, look, it's not usually my style to promote odds on horses. I did make Grapes of Wrath my best bet when she was around evens. We'll just have to see how the market forms, but I mean, maybe she goes even shorter. I did chat to the Basses some time ago when Grapes of Wrath was unluckily beaten at her second start, and I know that she's highly rated. She, is very, very talented, and this extra ground should see her to better effect. Her debut win was particularly impressive. She got a nice speed figure, and particularly the come home section, or that closing fraction, was swift. So I've marked it up as a very, very talented sort, and this is exactly the type of race that she could win. Look, if you're not thrilled with the price, I suppose you can always hook her up in multiples, or you can use her as an anchor in your picks. As to dangers, I think Enticement is the main danger. She's made steady progress, and she only just failed in open company behind Blue Lagoon. The other horse that I'd be wary of would be She's a Ripper. I really don't know what happened at that last start flop. I see a vet check took place, but that was nowhere near the level that she showed previously when she came close to toppling tag and release in the winter nursery. So those are the two dangers. Black Nightshade, Market Springer, she won on debut. Hard to assess, but my sort of short take on it is that this is Grapes of Wrath's race, just to show her true ability.
That race she got murdered, not once, but twice that day behind Catwork King. Wasn't the finest ride. No, maybe I'm not a jockey. Maybe he should have come out early doors and tried to get a run. In that race, the other shocking ride, I don't know. She's a ripper. I know she decided she can ride some cracking races with Cole Michelle. She's on the July handicap favourite or the Crawford Yard. I mean, she rides some fantastic races, but I think this wasn't one of her finest moments. I think she was still learning Kenilworth that day, because she has subsequently come back and ridden a few winners. She struggled early towards the first couple of meetings, but I think she's a quick learner. I can't believe that horse ran so badly that day and was fancied and well backed. I mean, I just can't believe it ran such a bad. She ran such a bad race. She's bred in the blue. I think she must have every chance. And at 8-1, that's where I'm going to fall. I'm going to have an each way bet on that. I think the favourite will take the power of beating, but I think there is value in the 8-1. She's a ripper. I'm going to forgive her last run. We now have Keegan DeMello on board. I think will be a big, big runner. Of the others, Blue Lagoon, Entitlement ran half a length by Blue Lagoon. Stepping up in trip, Eric the Red by Kamarka by Silvana, Vermeer. The sire, she should stay, so that 1400 should be up her alley. She's done nothing wrong. 3 places and a win. Her worst run to date so far was the third at the track when she was drawn 5 out of 8 of 1,000. But maybe the step up in trip she must bring her into the race. The one that I'm a bit baffled about, Black Nightshade. There was money for her on debut, this filly by a Wong, and she beat Virginia Bluebell half a length. She was restless in the stalls. She showed good pace, and her sire is Duke of Marmalade on the mare side, so she should stay. She's got the staying pedigree, so it was quite interesting that she won over 1,200. She's drawn in the middle of the pack. She could be anything. She could be the improver in the race. Chinwag, a maiden, taking on older horses and held Fog in Finland and a few of the others. Mystic Inferno, a decent run, and then in the Class 5 flopped quite badly. But there was an issue. She lost one of her shoes in running. Craig Zacchaeus stayed on this horse. So another one that step up in trip drawn 2 might suit, could be back in the quartets. But I think the race is for Grapes of Wrath to lose. And if you're looking for value elsewhere, I would be with number 7. She's a ripper each way. And I think a big run is expected. I've got to forgive her last run. I think the proof will be in the pudding this time. No excuses. It's round the bend. 7 out of 8 is a slight little worry, but she does come from off them, and I'm expecting to be running on. And I think your horse, Grapes of Wrath, will probably be more handy this time, and something will hair off to the front, maybe to Maiden Chinwag. Me, I think that's racing to 2.5. My other half runner would be Black Nightshade, because I don't know enough. Your speed figures might say something different, but the 1,500 meters, which is a strange distance, not very many races are run over 1,500. And the one that I wasn't really sold on was Enticement, even though she's a winner in 3 places. For me, she's got to come a bit more forward.
Yeah, 1,500 for the juveniles is something of a test of stamina. But obviously we're not far off them turning 3, so it's I think
Nearly birthday time.
if memory serves, Andrew, this race used to be staged earlier, didn't it? Earlier in the season, the Langerman and
Yes.
the Iridescence. Yeah, so it's a couple of months further down the line than usual, so the youngsters have had a chance to develop physically. But still, 1,500 in a soft track for a juvenile is effectively a test of stamina, rather than even seeing it as an extended sprint. It's actually the horses will need to be mile plus types.
She was a cracking horse Iridescence, trained by Mark de Kock.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely awesome record here. And she went to America, is that correct?
So Dubai and then America. I think she ran in Dubai as well. I could be
Yeah,
wrong, but
yeah.
she did very well for
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah,
moving
we
swiftly
had
on.
some fun in Dubai, Andrew. Remember a
A few
couple of years
times.
back when
A few
yeah,
times.
I just went there, when I had the racing manager gig, and Marin was one of the horses that was in the stable, and yeah, I remember going there for the Super Saturday and then for the World Cup, and just an awesome experience. I mean, amazing the way in which the races were staged, and the strength of the horses, and for
Those
a true
bucket
racing
list
fan, it
race
was just
days.
awesome.
One of those bucket list race days.
Yeah, yeah. Lucky to have been part of it. It was a lot of fun.
Some good times there. And a few winners as well. Thank you, Mark de Kock. We move on to race number 7. The Langerman, a grade 3, over 1,500 meters. The betting is Kalahari 16 to 10. Kalahari King 16 to 10. Aqua Kalidor 18 to 10. 6 to 1 Catwalk King. 8 to 1 from the Island Mine. 10 to 1 Uncle Sam. 14s and better the rest. This is a race of reputations. That's
Mm,
how I would classify the reputations.
sure.
Aqua Kalidor was, I'll start from the top. Kalahari King won on debut, beating Aqua Kalidor. He was well spoke of. He's a bull of a horse. And he then came into that same race, which we will watch the form in the previous race, behind Tag and Release, ran fourth, 4 lengths behind. He was backed into odds on that day. Andrew Fortune on board, and he fluffed his lines. He had every chance, every chance, and I'm not sure what went wrong. I'm not even sure that Durbanville will suit this horse. I think he's a big striding colt out of Vercingetorix, and I think a nice long straight like Kenilworth, the summer course, I think will suit to a T. Then we have Aquicalidor, who was beaten on debut by Kalahari King. There was a bit of money for him on debut. This grey colt is a smashing looker. Greys generally are. And then he came out and he chopped another era over 1,200 meters. Vercingetorix by Bella Bella, another Mark de Kock, by Dynasty, has the breeding to stay forever. And I think out of the top two, I would be choosing Aquicalidor above Kalahari King. Then we have the Verners family and Mr. Gujarat's horse, Catwalk King, won a cracking race, beating Reef Runner after being gelded. Keegan de Miller on board, drawn 2. He came from a bit far back that day, so it does seem that a step up to 1,500 will suit. The gelding has properly improved this horse, Buffalo Bill Cody, and I think will be there and there on the premises as well. But the horse that I found, and the one that I'm even in each way bet on, I can't believe the price. I truly cannot believe this horse was 10 to 1. From the island, Justin Snaith trained, Andrew Fortune on board. 2 wins over 1,400 meters. The one win was at Durbanville, so has seen the track, has been running in small fields. His 2 races that he won were in two 6-runner races. His last race was the one that sort of catch me. Andrew Fortune didn't even move that day. He took over,
Mm.
he got to the front, and in true Andrew Fortune style, put the whip away and just get it home. Beating It's Good, It's Nice who's in the race. And there's a couple of horses that all have run together behind Uncle Sam, Hero's Journey, It's Good, It's Nice. But at 10 to 1, 8 to 1, I truly cannot believe the price of this horse. The only negative, but I think with Andrew Fortune on board, it's not a negative. He's drawn 9 out of 9 as Royal Colt. So I'm going for the form in the book against the horses with reputations. And I think an 8-10 to 1 is a massive price. And I still can't believe it's their price. And I think we'll start short on the day.
Cool, Andrew. Got a pile in if you reckon you're getting a big overlay. Those are the opportunities to seize. This is a tough race. As you say, there's some big reputations that will be put to the test, and it's an historic race because over the years it's yielded some very fine horses that have gone on to enjoy really productive careers. You mentioned Kalahari King. He did come in with a big reputation. Andrew Fortune thought that he was invincible when he got capsized at 6 to 10. Justin Snaith did say to me, though, prior to the race, that the horse needed much further, not really a sprinter. So, maybe he'll do better over this more testing 1,500. But let's see. Let's see how he goes. Aqua Calida, as you've mentioned, he absolutely hammered another hero in a key maiden juvenile plate, but he was a length and a quarter off Kalahari King at a prior start. But as we know, the juveniles can improve leaps and bounds. So, you have to read the form somewhat imaginatively. There's a horse that I like at a price here called Uncle Sam, who is
Sorry,
developing
I forgot
nicely.
to mention
Yeah,
Uncle Sam.
yeah, and he showed a willing attitude. He snuck through down the rail at Kenilworth, so he's got a competitive spirit, and the speed figure was decent, and importantly, the closing sectional was also sharp enough. So, Andrew's found a live one at double-digit odds from the island, and if you're looking for another one at a price as a possible exotic tote buster, then Uncle Sam could get into the fray. What price is he at the moment,
Also
Andrew?
double digits. Also double
Okay.
digits. The only thing for me, I mean, I was remiss of me not to mention Uncle Sam for the Greenacres Trust shirt lifts and the Mac Falls. The only problem for me was this horse. We've been banging on that you need to be drawn low. He's drawn
Mm,
one and he's been slow away both starts. So there's going to be pace in the race and he's going to be chopped. He's going to
yeah,
be he's going to have to try and find his posse and get luck in running somewhere, because
yeah,
unless they've been putting him in through the gates and getting him sharper to race more handy, he ran. Not to say anything, but we actually beat this horse and we're now getting 3 kilograms
yeah,
on the day. But that was the debut. There was money for him last time when he beat African Wild Dog. Uh, yeah, he showed attitude when he won coming up on the inside and showed grit and determination. But I'm worried about Stallgate #1, because I think he's slow away every time, and I think he'll be a bit further back than he'd want to be. And I think this is a solid race, and he's not going to get an easy run through.
a fair comment, because obviously the clip that horses have is a big determinant to the outcome. Catwalk King won the Somerset. Got a reasonable speed figure, but the finishing fraction wasn't that flashy, but it was a good performance first up after rest and gelding. I can't really distinguish between Hero's Journey and Captain's Angel, that, they have similar credentials. It's good, it's nice, 3-class placings. He'll just need to boost his finish, I think, to be a true contender here. Andrew has advanced quite a persuasive argument about From the Island, who won his last two before a 73-day rest. His form ties in fairly closely with Hero's Journey, and it's good, it's nice. Tricky race this. I mean, my shortlist would be Kalahari King, Aqua Caliday, and Uncle Sam, but not with the greatest of conviction.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who look at these races and study form will say, but From the Islands 10-1 and Hero's Journey 16-1 is good as nice as 20-1, and they've run very close. But I don't think the half a length was a true reflection of his win last start. The run before, when he looked like he was tiring, but I think he got home over that Durbanville track. I've taken all that into account. And in a couple of runs, we're actually getting 3 kilograms for beating horses. So
Yeah.
a good race. Really, really, probably one of the better viewing races of the day. Let's hope the speed is good and it's a true run race and a fair run race. And as I said at the
Yeah.
beginning, it's reputation versus form in the book for me. And I've gone for a bit of value with the form in the book.
Well spotted, my man. And, at those prices, you give yourself upside potential. That's the key. Overlay betting.
Here we go. Number 8, race number 8, the last of the afternoon. Hollywood's Bright Future, Class 5 for fillies and mares over 1,600 meters. The betting is, as such, Peaches and Cream, nearly Wimbledon time. Oh no, sorry, that's Strawberries and Cream. Special Glamour 9-2, 5-1 before sunrise, 8-1 Elusive Gift and Miss Attitude, 10-1 and better the rest.
Mm. Yeah, not an easy one to finish off with. Class 5 fillies and mares, that usually has the warning lights flashing, especially for exotic players. But I
I think
think that
one of the clues is in the title. F and mares. Does this not stand for Field and Mares?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Andrew, I think that Bass Racing has got a strong hand here. You know, they're usually very transparent. On race day, they have tips publicized, about the chances of their runners. I would suggest that the viewers check them out because they are usually pretty astute. And as I say, they're very open with their thoughts about the runners. But they've got Given to Fly, Peaches and Cream, and La Patrona. Now, all of them have got competitive speed figures, certainly good enough to shape at this level. Given to Fly is interesting because its best race, its career top figure actually came not, in fact, it was over this course and distance. It was over a mile at Durbanville, and I think can run a good race. Probably not the stable elect. That might be Peaches and Cream, who's got upside potential. And La Patrona is a small filly, and sometimes that's best at Durbanville. Those nimble, athletic types can zip around the bend. I think one of those three could well provide the winner before sunrise. It was a fluent last start maiden winner, not harshly treated with a merit rating of 74. Miss Attitude, I also marked that as a possibility. Good post maiden in mid-April. But uh, I'd look at the market and just choose from those three Bass horses. But at first glance, Given to Fly to me could be interesting. Do you give her any hope at all, Andrew?
Yeah, two given to Flowers Fisa Bongani. She's carrying 63, even with the 2.5 off. She's still
Mm,
got a bit of
mm.
pudding. I mean, she did beat Apricity quite well when winning that day. Her form has been very solid. They put her in the class 4. She ran no sort of race behind Lark Song. She's drawn one. Another one that's kicked the gates,
Mm.
bumped, stumbled, mild distress last start. I think people who back to that, they would have had more than
Was that
mild
referring to
distress.
the horse or the horse?
Yeah, the punters. Yeah, I know. Out of the bash lot, I like Peaches and Cream. I took this horse last time behind Raffy's Trend. Raffy's Trend's running earlier. We can see how Raffy's Trend run. I liked that run where she ran third behind South of France. She is carrying quite a lot of pudding. She has the blink. The blinkers have certainly worked the Oracle when she has a win in 2 places. She was soft in the market last start. And for me, she wasn't given the greatest of rides. I mean, I never thought at any stage she was put in that race that day. I think the track was was soft, but I think it was suiting the horses that were quite handy. And she was just off the gallop that day. She does get slow away. She stayed on nicely. And out of the best lot, for me, it would be Peaches and Cream. The other one to mention in the race that Special Glamour, Varun Jody rides. So he's claiming 4, carrying down to 55. Solid of late, the 4th, the 2nd, the 3rd was a half decent, a very good run behind, sorry, half decent. A good run behind Heavenly Prince last start, but I'm not sure she will enjoy the track. She has raced here 5 times for 4 places, even at 1/3 and 3/4. She beat Homing Pigeon, who's now racing in Quebec in an open maiden. I think she will have to come forward. And currently, what price was she? She was high up in the market. She was 9-2. I think she might even go a bigger price. Then before sunrise, Lucinda Woodruff just won a maiden for fillies. Sean Veal on board. She won a touch cosily, beating Peace Garland, but another one that I think might have to come forward. La Patrona will have to find her earlier form. For me, Prince of Bayou, no. The horse that I would include in everything would be number 10, Miss Attitude. Negative being the draw, Stallgate number 10. She's a winner over course and distance. She's won at the track. She's won fun, one over the distance. Beyond, she ran half length behind Elise Vacheval. She beat a horse called See the Sign. That form line's quite good. There's been 7 runners. She's the 8th. 3 of those horses, 3 horses from that form line have come to win. She's had a little bit of a break, a 2-month break. I think she strips fit. She's a runner. So the 2 for me would be Miss Attitude. At the price, I thought she was each way value. And out of the top lot, I thought Peaches and Cream, I'm expecting a big run. Wasn't sold in Special Glamour. before sunrise. She'll have to show me a bit more. And at 14-1, given to fly, Safisa on board for the Kansas Bass Yacht. One of her strings in a bow of 3 runners, would including the bigger quartets and trifectas. But I saw the race between Peaches and Cream and Miss Attitude. That's how I would see the closing race. Tough race, but it makes it even more exciting.
Yeah, more potential.
Great. Early thoughts for the July? Did you watch the Gallops?
I was crunching the numbers today for a story that I was writing. Look, it's pointless sort of crying, post-mortems, but I went initially for Happy Verse. I thought that was the horse to go for when it was around 16-1. Of course, it's been withdrawn. It got injured in a training gallops. That's not going to happen. When I did my figures this morning, Andrew, the top 4 that I came up with are Regulation, Wish List,
Could you be in the
Star,
race?
yeah, Star Major, and Zeitz. Those were my top 4. Regulation is an older, very capable, potentially well handicapped horse, but there is that query with the persistent breathing issues and choking up. So he does come with a bit of a health or wealth warning.
Caveat.
List is a filly in a rough and tumble race. I mean, the July's often just turns into a complete rodeo show. But she's overcome adversity before. She is very, very good, and she's got a wonderful turn of foot. She is a big runner. Star Major
And a jockey
comes
does want
into
to know. He's so confident, Wish List. I mean,
that's
I think anyone
very
will stop.
interesting.
I think
Look,
he'll
I mean,
stop someone in the street. He'll stop someone in the street to say, I think this horse
yeah,
will win. I mean, that's how confident he is.
yeah. And Andrew Fortune is a brilliant judge. I mean, he's obviously had a very lively or checkered career. I'm not sure what the diplomatic turn of phrase is, but he's an awesome horseman and a great competitive rider and a very, very sharp judge of racing talent. Yeah, Wish with her turn of foot is a huge runner. Oh, Major, yeah, I was saying, the 2 runs going into the Durban July were arguably the most flashy. The figures were very, very strong. Crawford Racing are particularly astute. Their preparation is somewhat unconventional, but it clearly works. So Star Major has come down to contest those races at the coast, producing big finishes to win going away, and then returns to Joburg and then comes back again. So that's how they do it to maintain the fitness levels. And it worked with, was it Winchester Mansion, I think? A while
They
back,
did
I
win
think
it.
so.
They
Yes,
did win
yeah.
it.
And so Star Major, look, James Crawford did say to me that if he had more than 57, he wasn't going to run the horse in the Durban July. So he's right on the cusp of what James Crawford felt was still feasible and doable for a 3-year-old. And then the 4th one, Zeitz, who just seems to thrive in Durban. He's held by quite a few of them on his Cape form, but he's peaking, and I've got tremendous respect for Andre Nell's operation. They're super professional, very, very canny and conscientious in how they prepare horses. If I were to advise an each-way play, I would probably say that Zeitz, I saw an interbet around 17-1 and 11-4 place, which is to totter into the first 4. That would be, I would probably suggest that. But those are that would be my short list. There obviously are backups. You can make cases for quite a few horses as well. But those at this stage are my top 4.
Your shortlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, my shortlist was Zeitz being one of them. Star Major in the mix. I'm not sure she'll get the run of the race. I think it's a much tougher race. I think they'll be bumping aboard. She won't. But that's the way the horse runs. She comes from off the Mikhail Michelle. Zeitz, I thought I gave Viva's Liberté on her Cape for a big chance as well, and then Wish List as well. Those would be my
Yeah,
4. I
yeah.
haven't done my
Absolutely,
final
Andrew.
studying, and
Yeah,
that's how I would see the race. That would be my early doors, Quartet and
cool.
Trifecta.
Yeah, Yeah, the race, the actual conditions on the day are a big factor as well. Running styles, and we'll only know that then. It's interesting that you mentioned Viva's Liberté because I went for him last time, and he ended up going to the front, which was not the plan at all. It's just how things turned out. I believe they wanted the horse to be conserved, held up for a run, and to finish strongly. That's not how the horse was ridden. It's not to cast blame, but it's possible that this time around he'll receive a more patient ride and try and finish it off strongly. And on collateral form, Viva's Liberté is definitely a legit contender. I actually had it sort of in my backup, below the line group, but he's live as well. That's for sure.
Week to go. Seven
Yeah,
or eight more sleeps. There'll be big
that's
pools
it.
that day, so there's opportunity to make money if you're a tote player.
Yeah.
Doubles and trebles available on Interbet if you so inclined. There'll be a few shorties on the day that you can put into multiples. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for coming on doing our first Coastal Boys. Nice to be back as a plural, not a single Coastal Boy. And let's hope there'll be many more, and let's hope we steer people in the right direction.
Hope so, Andrew. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on as a guest. It's great to catch up again, and I enjoy the banter and the exchange of opinions. That's what makes racing such a stimulating game. And we do the handicapping. We study it really closely. We've got different methodologies, but yeah, it's just fun to bounce ideas off one another. And yeah, definitely hope point the punters in the right direction. Yeah, much of the time, if we can do that, there are obviously going to be occasions when we miss by a mile. That's in the nature of it. But if we can come up with some sharp players, that will be great. And also, if people find this part and this collaboration entertaining, that's also that's a big part of it. And I mentioned earlier about the educational component to it as well. So if we can achieve some of that some of the time, then that will be.
You have a cracking weekend. Stay safe, everybody. Be lucky. Let's hope we can find a few winners for everyone. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Andrew. Be well, my man.